Dax, I wanted to get your thoughts on some of the fights, and this is something that we're going to be doing now from here on out each week. I wanted to try and get your thoughts on some specific fights. Now, this week, I know it's kind of tough for you because I know we decided that you're going to pick the 3 best fights of every week to give us your thoughts on the fights, both sides, and your prediction. Unfortunately, this week, there's not 3 good ones that you can really pick to do this, but I know that you're going to try. So why don't you give us what you think are the 3 best fights and why, and the breakdowns and your predictions for this week coming up.
All right, I'll start with the co-main event on Saturday's card, Maxim Blaskov against Gilberto Ramirez Sanchez. That's a very good fight right there. It's going to answer a lot of questions. Maxim Blaskov, out of Russia, is not your typical power-punching destroyer that we've seen lately and we've become used to with Kovalev, Provokanov, and Beterbiev. But like Kovalev and Beterbiev, he can box well enough to make up for the difference. He's a fighter who learned a lot by getting a good variety of opponents, ranging from veterans to contenders and to journeymen. His only loss was against Isaac Chilemba, and that was in 2010. It was an undercard fight on Friday Night Fights. He knocked Chilemba down twice in the 8th round, but he was outboxed by more experienced Chilemba. He's trained by Viktor Petrochenko, who also trained Dmitry Pirog, the former WBO middleweight title holder, and he currently trains Tsar Glaskov, and he's going to be in Tsar's corner for the Cunningham fight. Petrochenko is a guy who concentrates more than power punching. He really tries to differentiate himself from a lot of these European styles. He self-admittedly teaches something what he calls the hybrid style, and that could be the key here. Considering the fact that Glazov has won 10 straight since fighting Chilemba, he has one common opponent in there with Ramirez, and that's Derek Finley. Now, Ramirez, he's a very, very, very high-volume puncher. He hits hard. He has an 80% KO ratio, some minor titles, but everybody that he has beaten, knocked out, looks sensational with Bill, has been there to be hit. He has had a hard time with boxers, even journeymen, guys that know how to survive, guys that know how to move, guys that aren't there. So I really think this is something right here that's going to answer a lot of questions for us. Finley, for example, since he is a common opponent, there's a guy right there that went in with some harder punches like Curtis Stevens, and he knew how to survive. Ramirez, when he's in there with a guy that knows how to survive, he doesn't know what to do. Considering that, Vlasov is actually bigger than Ramirez, which is one of Ramirez's strong points at being 6'2", but Vlasov is 6'3". He has a longer reach, and unless he gets careless and he doesn't listen to Viktor Petrochenko in the corner between rounds, make adjustments if needed be, he's going to outbox Ramirez with superior boxing and ring smarts. Just like even though Ramirez is undefeated, he's a step above these amateurs these journeymen that have given him such a hard time.
Interesting. And I looked at this fight. It's funny that you say he's bigger, and I know you're going by the height, but Vlasov for most of his career fought at middleweight, right? And this fight, he's moving up to fight Gilberto Ramirez at super middleweight, right?
I think they were building this as a light heavyweight, but he has fought at he's fought guys. I believe he's mostly at super middleweight because he has super middleweight. He won the super middleweight WBC Baltic titles. Again, he fought Chilemba. Chilemba is a light heavyweight. Has been a light heavyweight. And I think Chilemba has actually had a few fights at cruiserweight. He's fought Bernard Donfak, one of the WBF title holders. So he's spent pretty much all his career at super middleweight. Maybe 1 or 2 fights at middleweight, but he has fought some light heavyweight bouts.
So so this fight is actually at above 168.
No, this is a super middleweight, as far as I know.
Okay.
But I'm just saying that, that Vlasov has bounced around into other divisions. He hasn't solely been, he wasn't, just a middleweight. He has fought some guys down at middleweight. And, most of his fights are over in Russia. He's only had a few fights over here in this country. Maybe, a handful of fights outside of Russia or Uzbekistan.
Oh, cool. So what else you got? Oh, so who you predicting to win? You didn't give us the prediction.
No, I get him. I think Vlasov, unless he does something foolish, unless he doesn't, reduce corners instructions in between rounds, I think he's going to outbox Ramirez based on what I said on the fact that Ramirez has not been able to stop guys of lesser caliber who know how to box, who know how to move around. He's always looked great against guys that have stood right there to be hit. Guys that are, more, with bigger names, guys that, you would know more, Giovanni Lorenzo, Rogelio Medina, who stopped Jan Love. They're guys that, look better on that paper, but, they were all there to be hit, and that is, in my opinion, that's the key right here. Ramirez looks great in front of opponents that are there for him to look great.
Great point. What's the second fight you're giving us a breakdown on?
Well, actually, I think we're going to break down the main event with Mike Alvarado and Brandon Rios. This is a trilogy people have been looking forward to, but, what do we really have in front of us? Both have one about. This is a rubber match. Rios won the first one by TKO. Alvarado won the second one by unanimous decision. Alvarado, at 34, is starting to show signs of ring wear. He was brutally beaten down by Ruslan Provodkanov. Make no mistake, nothing against him. Anybody who took that punishment that Ruslan handed out that night would have wilted. He also went to war with Marquez. And, and Alvarado, who is a better boxer than Rios, but he can easily be drawn into a war. Because of this ring wear, if you watch Alvarado, especially in the Juan Manuel Marquez fight, you can see he looks a lot slower. He almost looks, in slow motion, as if he's in water. And again, yes, that's the other question. Does he have his head 100% into the fight, considering his outside problems with the law? Now, his trainer, Shan Vilhauer, out of Delgado's gym, said yes, he looks great. Ever since the arrest, Mike has been even more focused. But then again, he's supposed to say that because that is his trainer. And you know what? Every time a trainer says that, what does that usually mean? On the opposite side, we have Brandon Rios, a fighter who hasn't met a punch he doesn't like. But he has beaten better fighters. He shows a better chin, and lately he has showed some ring smarts as well. Against Diego Chavez, a dangerous puncher, Rios shows he knows how to hold if need to now. Maybe you can credit Manny Pacquiao for this more than Rios' trainer, because Pacquiao left him no choice but to find a way not to eat shots. He even reduced him to surviving at times. Rios is at a transition stage. He wants to further his career. He knows the way to do it is by being more complete. With that said, doesn't mean he cannot train and go to war. His chin hasn't been dented, so if he brings Alvarado into a war, that and the combination of, his new angle of holding if need be, and the fact that he's a little bit younger, that is going to be the key for him beating Mike Alvarado. Unlike Chris Algieri, if Rios is told to be let out of the cage by his corner man, the second that Alvarado looks to be had, Rios is going to be let loose, and he's going to sit there and he's going to walk over Mike Alvarado, and he's going to brutalize him. So I'm going to pick Brandon Rios by knockout, because I really think between the outside problems going on in his personal life, between his recent wars, the ring wear, the age difference, I think Mike Alvarado doesn't have much left. He doesn't have much to offer Brandon Rios, and Brandon Rios is fighting smart.
Great job, Dax, and I